I'ma keep it a bean. Stick to the script, every scene. This from last year, but they clean. Say to say, I'ma take something else, but it's winning team. Charlie Sheen, fam gang, the regime. I'm from Piney Green.
What's good, Shellitronnn here. You can call me Shells, and I'm back out again with a brand new video, and I'm gonna keep it a Bowberry biscuit. I gotta ask a question about this Panthers team, about the way we use these players, about a lot of things on this defense specifically that needs to be answered. I gotta find out what the truth is. I have my opinion, but I'm kind of thinking this is one of the times where I think one thing, but I could be wrong. I might not be looking at everything from the right angles, so I gotta let you guys answer for me. Is this Carolina Panthers team misusing Brian Burns? You know who Brian Burns is, our first round pick of the draft, this past draft. And the real funny thing is, before the draft even started, I think a lot of us thought that Brian Burns was way too good. He'd get picked up way too early. We would not have the chance to actually draft this man. We would think we might actually hit maybe Cleveland Farrell, maybe one of these old linemen, something like that. We knew we needed a defensive end, someone to rush the quarterback, but I thought Brian showed a little too much at FSU and in the combine to drop all the way down to number 16, but he did. And with the news of us going to a 3-4 defense sitting there in our base, Brian Burns was looking like probably the perfect pick for this team, transitioning away from a 4-3 and a nickel and going to a 3-man set in the front. Brian Burns was set up to have one of the best rookie seasons that we've seen, and he showed in the first 5-6 games that he could have been. I think Brian Burns actually was the best defensive rookie for the first 6 games of the season. Now, week 1, we didn't see him do all that much. Against the Rams, it was a tight game, but I don't think anyone on the field actually played all that good. But week 2 versus the Bucs, he got a sack. Week 3 versus the Cardinals, he got a sack. Week 4 against the Texans, he got a sack. Week 5 against the Jags, he got a sack. And don't forget, he also had a scoop and score for a touchdown, like 50-something yards, I think it was. And then week 6, in London against the Bucs, he got another sack. He also had pressures. He had a blocked punt, I think it was. This man, Brian Burns, was all over the field. This man, Brian Burns, wasn't just a guy who was on the defensive side of the ball. He wanted to play special teams. He wanted to be a difference maker for this team. And for the longest time, he was. Then we had a week 7 bye. Week 8, something happened in week 8. I forgot what it was. Week 8 didn't really happen in my books. I don't know what happened. Don't remind me what happened in week 8. Week 9 versus the Titans came and went. And then week 10, where we played Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in the snow at Lambeau. A game where we got robbed because the referees in the NFL love Aaron Rodgers so much and he is such a cash cow for the league. They had to give us a phantom, roughing the quarterback penalty. Anyone with eyes knew that wasn't roughing the passer. But you can't beat the Packers and the refs at the same time. But that's not what I want to focus on here. There was a play in that game where I think Brian was really close to getting a tackle that was actually close to the goal line, the other team's goal line, so back on their own side of the field. And he missed, or the guy just got away. And Brian punches the ground with his hand. And then he was out for a play, came back in. But afterwards, it was like, nah, he really can't play. He hurt his wrist. He was in a club. And then he couldn't really play all that much. His playing time went all the way down after that Green Bay game. In the Green Bay game, he played 11 snaps. After that, at Atlanta, he played 16. At New Orleans, he played 22. Then week 13 against the Redskins, he played 13 snaps. And his snap count didn't come back up until 2 weeks ago when we played the Falcons, and he played for 33 snaps. And that's around what his average was before the bye week, the first 6 games. And then just last week against the Seahawks, the man only played 7 snaps. Now, our new interim head coach, Perry Fuel, said, look, that's all on the D-line coaches. They do all the formations. They do all the personnel groupings. Ask them about that. But we really couldn't go to a 3-man front all the time because you have Russell Wilson. The man can scramble, and you want to contain a quarterback who's mobile, so you can't really just have 3 down linemen and expect the linebackers to do coverage as well as contain them. You got to be in a 4-man front for that, and Brian Burns doesn't really fit into the 4-man front, especially when you have our linebacker group. He's not really a 4-3 linebacker. He's a 3-4 kind of guy, a pass rusher, but we did see at certain points earlier in this season, Brian Burns was playing defensive end on the D-line in our 4-3 fronts. Now that was mainly because of injuries, and he didn't really do a ton there. He wasn't really the most effective, but he did play snaps at that DE position. And that's what really brings me to the biggest point, the biggest question for this video. Have the Carolina Panthers misused Brian Burns? Because on one hand, he did get injured and he was hurt, and you can't really play a hurt guy. Look, he's on the D line, he's on the front seven, he's going to have contact every play. You don't want to get this man even more seriously hurt. And then on the other hand, if you look at our schedule, we played a lot of mobile quarterbacks, not a lot of running quarterbacks, but guys who can break out of the pocket, guys who can move. This was a season for the Panthers where the matchups didn't really work out for you to be in a 3-man front all that often. James can get out of the pocket. He's not really a runner, but he can get out there. Kyler Murray, is he mobile? You got Deshaun Watson. You got Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the better quarterbacks in the league at throwing on the run. Matt Ryan, he's not one of those statue quarterbacks. He can move around if he really wants to. Drew Brees might be 48 years old, but he can still move a little bit. He can break out of the pocket and throw on the run as well. I don't want to call him a mobile quarterback, but he's not a statue either. And then you have guys like, obviously, Russell Wilson. So even though every single quarterback we went against wasn't mobile, there was enough guys in enough weeks where you had to decide, are we going to force Brian Burns to play in a spot where it doesn't really help out for our team? We can't really be in a 3-man front. Are we just going to play him no matter what? Or are we going to play the way the game's supposed to be played, try to contain these guys? The defense wasn't great anyway, but are you going to put Brian Burns out there as one of the outside linebackers in the 4-3? Are you going to go to a nickel sometimes? I mean, what do you want to do with Brian Burns? Do you want to put him on the D line and have him play as a DE? I don't know exactly what the move should have been. When you draft a guy in the first round, do you just throw him out there and say, hey, make a play for us? Or do you go with head over heart and say, look, we got to play the game the way the game's supposed to be played, and when we go against these guys, we got to play a certain way, and we'll get you in where you fit in? It's kind of tough to really make that decision about how do you play against these guys and what kind of front do you put out there. And do you play these guys out of position just to get them out there? Would he have been better there than Mario Addison, than maybe a Bruce Irvin, one of these other dudes who can play either standing up or in the 4-3 as a down lineman a little bit better? It's kind of hard to say. For me personally, I don't know if I can actually say for 100% facts the team misused him. I just think this is kind of a bad season for him. With the schedule the way it was, we weren't really able to get into our 3-4 as much as we really wanted. And you can see in the games, we were in 4-3 a lot more than I think we really wanted to. We were in nickel a lot more than we thought we would be in this season. Injuries play a part in that, but at the same time, when you're going against these mobile quarterbacks and when the guy's hurt, you can't just force him on the field. I think he just got really unlucky with this being his rookie season, and we played against all the teams that really just weren't a good matchup for our front. And real quick, y'all know I am not shy about talking about this coaching staff mismanaging players. And we've been doing the mismanaging players thing since been doing the mismanaging players thing. We are no strangers to mismanaging players. But on this one day, on this one time, I gotta say maybe. And I don't know all the facts. I'm not a football surgeon, but I will say that I can kind of maybe see not playing Brian Burns as much. But I will also say that 7 snaps? 7? 7? In that game? I don't know, brother. I can probably find ways to put Brian Burns in there more than 7 times, but not playing him as much. These 13, 16 snap games, these 20 snap games, I can kind of understand that in situations, but it's just bad luck for the matchups here. And I don't think just forcing him out there in a 4-3 would have been the right thing to do. That's just my thoughts on it. We should have used him more, but I don't know how exactly we would have done it in the context of the games we played and the QBs we played against. What are your thoughts? Did we misuse Brian Burns? Should he have been out there in 4-3 sets? What would you have done? Would you have been in those 3-4 alignments against these more mobile quarterbacks? Is it bad luck in scheduling? Was his injury part of it? I mean, what are your thoughts on Brian Burns being used by this team this season? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. And you already know to do with that like button.
Cheers to you, appreciate the chance. Been told y'all I been the man. Been told y'all I had the gift. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Real ones gonna recommend. Count this as another win.